Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. How is everybody doing on this Monday, February 14th, 2022, Valentine's Day? Hope everybody had a pleasant Valentine's Day, found your Valentine. If you're one of those people that hates Valentine's Day because you're single, well, buck up, buttercup. You could have a happy Valentine's Day too. It's not a dumb holiday. You just don't have someone right now to celebrate it with. Hopefully, eventually you will. But just don't be the Debbie Downer on Valentine's Day. Nobody likes a Debbie Downer on Valentine's Day. And speaking of Debbie Downers, we're not going to do that today because it's Positivity Monday. We are back. Before we get into any of the stuff on the show, always remember, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate us 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Greatest show you've ever heard. You want everyone to come to it. And Positivity Mondays are friggin' awesome. So that's what we're going to do. On the socials, go search the Alex Cuesta Show. As always, you'll be able to locate our logo. It's pretty simple. Just black background, white lettering, the Alex Cuesta Show. Very simple. I kept it simple because complicated sometimes sucks. So before we get into the super positive positivity stuff, we are going to do our Biden COVID tracker, which had actually a pretty positive day there. So let's go. Where I left off on February the 11th, cases were at 77,357,504, deaths 914,333. Now, bear with me because I do like to go through day by day over the weekend because obviously I don't do Saturday. I don't do Sunday. I'm back here on Monday. So let's go. On the 12th Saturday of February, they went up to 77,558,948 cases. That is up 201,444. And deaths were at 916,571. That is up 2,238. Sunday was an anomaly in a really positive way. I don't know if this is a numbers screw up or what, but cases were at 77,592,982. That it's only up 34,034 people or cases. And deaths were at 916,977, only 406 deaths. Now, that's where I want to be trending. That is where I want to be. That is a fantastic day. If it holds up and it's not just a numbers botch, that is a beautiful day and it's where we need to be. But as of today, things seem to have leveled out a little. Cases on the 14th, Valentine's Day, 77,707,349. That's up 114,367. Deaths, 919,255. That is up 2,278. So it kind of came back to reality here today where it was been trending this whole time. The cases, they've been hanging anywhere between the low 100,000s, low 200,000s. It's been fluctuating there. The deaths have been pretty steady in the low 2,000s. We need more Sundays. We're already out of this. It's already not a pandemic anymore. Don't let anyone tell you it's a pandemic anymore. This is an endemic right now. But we need more Sundays because if there's a bunch of Sundays, then this is, for all intents and purposes, pretty gone because that means it's really weakening and waning. So let's hope for more positivity stuff there and that we can continue to get this under control. Again, I'm not doing this for any other reason but to hold Joe Biden to account. The media held Donald Trump to account, blamed every single death on him. So we're going to do the same here. We're going to play the same tactic here. So Joe Biden has a lot on his hands. He has a lot there. And the man that came in with the plan to beat COVID-19 has not done it. Don't accept his new normal. Call him out for his bullshit. All right. And again, we're going to jump into another story. I've been tracking the ID.me stuff with the IRS pretty tightly. This isn't the Positivity Monday stuff, but I've been tracking it. And anytime something different pops up, I want to keep you all updated because, again, along with the CBDCs that the Fed's trying to create, the digital currency, what the IRS was trying to do with ID.me was equally as scary. You were looking at digital currency over there, which will be ran by ESG, and they'll be able to tell you what you can and can't buy. And then this over here, what ID.me was trying to do with the house was essentially creating a cache of your information, and it was eventually going to be a digital passport. That's exactly what the creator was essentially fighting for, or the CEO. So fast forward to this article, biometricupdate.com, written by Frank Hershey, or Hershey, I don't know, maybe Hershey. U.S. House asks what happens to face biometrics of 7 million already registered with ID.me, which is a very good question. What happens to the 7 million people who already submitted all their stuff? I know they have a delete selfie function now with ID.me, but what about the people before? And anyone that's internet savvy knows that that quote unquote delete picture function is bullshit. There's always somewhere where it's saved and backed up. So even if you delete it after you take it, they still have it. Don't let them tell you they don't. They still have it. But yeah, that's a really interesting question. What's going on with the 7 million? So the House Committee on Oversight and Reform is looking over this. The committee chairwoman, Carolyn Maloney, she's the one that's overseeing it. She's a Republican, apparently. I don't know who she is. Probably should if she's a chairwoman, and this is a political show. I'm not doing really well there. But anyway, they're looking into this and they're asking questions, which good for them. This is good government money wasted. And they are concerned with what the IRS has been trying to do. Apparently, the IRS was looking to terminate their contract with them already, but I think that's just kind of them trying to save face. They said that to the committee. I think that they're just trying to save face there, but that's a really big question. What happened to the 7 million selfies and biometric data that was already submitted, including mine? Mine's I guess not mine. I'm not in the Fed. I'm New York State, but we got to get on that in New York State, getting it out of here. But that is a good question. Where are all those things? Now that you can quote unquote delete them, are all the people going to get an option to go and delete their selfies and biometric data? And the issue is, since it's a third party, there is the law that the IRS can't ask them to delete any of this stuff for 7 years unless they find a special reason to an investigation to do so. So there's a lot going on here. There could be 7 million people's identities potentially compromised by hacks for at least 7 years before the IRS can demand ID.me deletes these files. So we have an interesting thing here. Going to keep an eye on it some more. Not great news. Not great news. And apparently in 2020, they were scammed by somebody wearing curly hair, and they were scammed out of $900,000 in false unemployment payments from California. A New Jersey man, had multiple ID.me accounts and forged stuff. So yeah, they're not very secure. Not very secure. And there's a bunch of information now potentially floating in the ether in this third party that can be hacked. So definitely something to monitor, definitely something to keep looking at. So let's transition into the meat and potatoes of this episode. It is the Positivity Monday articles. They're going to be co-articles here, because what I want to talk to you about today is less articles that are recent and more of when celebrities seem to understand who they are. And this is athletes, celebrities, anyone with a big platform. When they seem to kind of understand their importance and who they are. And I'm not disparaging. I don't want anyone, if anyone knows someone high profile or is high profile, here's this and it's like, oh, he's a fucking dick. No, I'm not disparaging anybody for just wanting to get better at their jobs, wanting to get better jobs in their career, wanting to progress, and not worrying about being a role model. Not everybody wants to be a role model, and it's not everyone's responsibility, whether they're famous or not, to be a role model to you, to be a role model to your children, your child, your grandchild, etc. I know a lot of people that are famous, they get flack. They're like, oh, they don't understand who they're influencing. And it's like, no, that shouldn't be on that person. Just because they don't understand who they're influencing. If they had a persona one way and then they do something else and it's, oh my God, that person should not be held up to that standard of whatever persona you might have concocted in your brain. So yeah, no, that goes back to more personal responsibility of parenting. Pick your role models. But there are some people that take advantage of their star, take advantage of their influence and who they are and what they do, and make it spin it in a real positive way and use it in a positive way. I'm going to focus on two people in particular. I'm going to focus on John Cena of the WWE and Russell Wilson of the Seattle Seahawks in the National Football League. Now, this isn't to knock a lot of the other celebrities that do really cool stuff. Ones that I remember that for years now I've been doing is the crew of the actors that play the Avengers. That's your Chris Evans, your Chris Hemsworth, your Robert Downey Jr.'s, all that crew, where they would go into children's hospitals consistently and dress up in character. I know Chris Pratt does this too with Star-Lord and Guardians of the Galaxy. He's also on the Marvel crew. And they would go into children's hospitals. Now, Ryan Reynolds, I'm throwing you in there too. You do it with Deadpool as well over in Canada. But they do it, but it's not as frequently as these two do. So for better or worse, it usually gets noted when those individuals go to a hospital and walk around and make, possibly hundreds of kids' days, and kids that are fighting terrible, terrible illnesses. Sometimes happiness is the best thing that can happen for these kids. And you see a huge change in their demeanor because they get to meet their superhero. And it's great. But a lot of times the news gets a hold of that in the moment during the day and can make a big fuss out of it. Granted, they deserve the spotlight for doing these great things. And I don't think that these individuals are doing these things with the press for this. I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that these individuals that are in Marvel doing this type of stuff, I don't know if the DC crew does it, but if they do as well, or anyone that does it that has the notoriety, I don't think they go into it with a publicist telling them, hey, this is going to be great, go do it, and then do it multiple times like these individuals do. I think the notoriety happens. And again, I don't think it's their intention, but also they do deserve it. They deserve the notoriety when they do the positive thing. So good for them. But I'm focusing on John Cena and Russell Wilson because what they do and how often they do it, a paparazzi would get bored. A media would get bored writing about the same beautiful, fantastic story that these two men inspire. First, I'm going to talk about John Cena, and then I'll talk about, I'll kind of go through an article. This will be my article today. I want to read this Russell Wilson article. Maybe I'll skip around, but maybe I won't, because maybe it might put some tears in your eyes. And I'll talk about it a little bit, but I want to go to John Cena. I didn't get to find a concrete article talking about John Cena and all the wishes he's made. Now, Make-A-Wish Foundation is a beautiful, amazing foundation until proven otherwise, which God, I hope I never find out anything negative or evil about Make-A-Wish, because they do so many beautiful things for terminally ill kids. And essentially, it's a terminally ill kid gets a wish, and this foundation tries to do their damnedest to make it happen. And a lot of times it's meeting an athlete, it's meeting a celebrity, it's going on the field or whatever they want to do. This foundation tries to make it happen. And a lot of celebrities participate. If anyone is a sports junkie like I am, SportsCenter always has the Make-A-Wish stuff, and they show great stories. And it happens pretty frequently. They're a very good foundation. But one person has stood head and shoulders above anybody. And I believe he's been doing this since 2015, 2014. And it's John Cena. He has now become synonymous with Make-A-Wish. Like, you can't think of Make-A-Wish if you know a lot about them and not think of John Cena right now. The man is responsible for granting over 650 wishes. That is an insane amount to do. And I think it's been since 2014 or 2015. It is a crazy number of wishes for a guy who is in a serious relationship, is an active WWE superstar this whole entire time, which means he's traveling city to city all year, every weekend, during the week, doing house shows, recording, going to events that he has to do for WWE as well as part of his contract. So it's a lot to ask, a lot to expect him to do these types of things. And, that's one of the reasons why a lot of athletes don't do this stuff either. They have families as well. They go and they spend time with their family. It's not like they're bad people. And a lot of them have their own foundations, their own charities that they take care of. John Cena has chosen Make-A-Wish. And he's far ahead of anybody. I think Justin Bieber might be in second with like almost 300 wishes, which good for you, Biebs. If that, I think I heard that. I forget where I heard that from. I think Biebs is second, which is great for him. And the fact that he's been keeping it on the wraps and not trying to change the persona about him using it is another beautiful thing. Props to you, Justin Bieber. If that's true, I hope I'm not talking out of my ass with that. I can't remember where I heard it from, but if that's true, give more props to Bieber. You don't have to like him, but if he's doing that type of stuff, it means he's a decent human. Anyway, back to Cena. In this article I found from ewrestlingnews.com, this article is from January 17th of this year by Joseph Kostecki. There's a quote about him and the things that he does that he talks about himself for Make-A-Wish. So I want to, clue you in on this quote because it's a beautiful, beautiful quote. And yeah, let's go with it. I'm going to read you this quote and then we'll talk about some Russell Wilson stuff. First of all, thank you for the comment. I really enjoy my life. I've been riding a lightning bolt for quite some time now, and I've been given opportunities to do and see things that, man, I didn't even dream of. And I had some pretty lofty dreams. It's hard work. It's hard work to balance the time I need to run myself correctly. It's hard work to be the best partner and husband I can be to my loving wife. It's hard to keep connections with those in my life that I love. And it's also hard to put an honest day's work. Just, this is my perspective. Again, not totally qualified, but I think just because you might be good at something, good at something is, for me, not a strong enough reason to do that. You have to have a passion for it. You have to have a fuel for it. It's like saying to somebody, man, you're pretty good with your hands. You'd be a great carpenter. But if I want to be an actor, I'll be an actor. And just to say that somebody, you have a great interaction with young people, that's flattering. I'm still flipped. And the reason I love Make-A-Wish so much is that because they aren't like, those are those families' wishes. It's like, yo, you can do anything you want. And Make-A-Wish list is enormous. They literally will do anything you want. I want to kick it with John Cena and go see him wrestle. That is the coolest thing that I've ever heard in my life. It means a lot of things. It means, one, something I'm passionate about affects people. It means, two, I can be a vehicle to help make a wish come true. And it means, three, when we engage, when the wish actually happens, it's something that someone wants, and we're the finish line and the joy on their faces. And these are individuals who are tougher than I could ever imagine, that are going through a set of circumstances that I can't believe. And they get to just leave all that stuff at the door, and they get to relax and escape for a little bit and hang out, and we get to talk. I've gotten strategy tips. I should do secret moves. I've been able to single people out in the crowd. I've been able to bring people in the ring. I've been able to encourage people to create their own wrestling characters. I've met Make-A-Wish families multiple times, and seeing the positive development that just our interactions had, I've received unbelievably emotionally moving letters from parents after some very tragic circumstances happened about what that moment meant to them and will always mean to them. Make-A-Wish is fantastic. But all those things considered, I love that. I love that joy. I love that connection. And that's where I am right now. And it's difficult water to tread because that, everyone's like, well, when? I just know not now. So that's John Cena talking about Make-A-Wish. And I guess when you look this up, there's been rounds about him asking, when is he going to become a father? And just leave the fucking guy alone. Let him become a dad when he wants to become a dad. Let him and his wife decide when that's the right time. Leave him alone. The guy's doing a ton of things here. And that's a beautiful thing he's saying about Make-A-Wish. And you could see just from the way he talks about it, he's not in Make-A-Wish for the notoriety. He's in Make-A-Wish to try and help somebody else. And there's one thing about John Cena too, which is another cool factoid, that in wrestlers' careers, they ride highs, they ride lows. Their personas hit with the crowds, they don't hit with the crowd, so they change it up a little. And they do what's called a baby face or a heel turn. Baby face are good guys, heel is bad guys. And you'll see guys flopping between baby face and heel to kind of keep their persona fresh so that the fans can kind of buy into that persona and buy into that storyline. When John Cena, who's a guy that's been basically at the top all the time, he's always wrestling for the championship a lot of the times. John Cena hit kind of a rut with his storyline going into the championship. And the creative team suggested, listen, we'll do a heel turn, and, you can refresh it up, go to be a heel, yada, yada, yada. John Cena outright refused. I don't know how many years this was, but he's like, no, I have too many people, too many kids, too many people I influence that count on me and count on my my act and what I am and what I believe and kind of, believe in anything, believe in yourself, all that type of stuff. He's like, I'll jump down into another championship bracket. I won't go for the WWE title. Put me on the Intercontinental Championship, which is like a step down from the WWE title. He was more than willing to take himself out of the biggest scene in the program, in the company, in order to keep his persona and the thing that makes him so enjoyable to a lot of these little kids. And to me, that's another beautiful thing. Yeah, people could say, he made it already. He's made a lot of money. He's been really famous. He does his movies as well. And, that's great. So he has the ability to do that. But you know what, though? When you have ability to do things, you don't always do it. So it's beautiful. Beautiful that John Cena is willing to continue to be that superhero to a lot of kids that look up to him. And he continues to do it. And I'm really happy with his success in Peacemaker. I haven't seen it yet. I know I haven't seen the show. I've not seen the new Suicide Squad. I've heard great things about it. I need to watch both. But, that's touching on John Cena. Now we're going to go over to Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson. What is there to say about him? And by the way, the name of this article is, John Cena discusses his work with Make-A-Wish more. And again, it was by Joseph Kostecki out of the eWrestling News. Okay, moving on to Russell Wilson. This is from NBCSports.com, and it was written by Lindsay. Oh, what are these last names? Wisniewski? That's a difficult last name. Russell Wilson's legacy extends far beyond the football field for Seattle children's patients. Now, let me give a backstory here. Russell Wilson, I don't know when he started doing it. No, it's been a long time. But every single Tuesday, which Tuesday is typically the off day for the NFL players, from practice, film sessions, all that. Every Tuesday, he's been going over to Seattle Children's Hospital and visiting, just walking around and visiting kids on Tuesdays. And it's something he doesn't have to do. And it's in Seattle. A lot of these kids are sports fans. Their families are sports fans. Russell Wilson is a celebrity in Seattle. He doesn't have to do this. It's a charitable thing. And he does it so frequently that it's known. He's won the Walter Payton Man of the Year. But you don't hear this. You don't get the media attention that he gets. And he is there weekly. And his wife, Sierra, is also very, very charitable. I think as of the beginning of this year, end of last year, their foundation raised $2.7 million to be donated to it's some sort of pediatric cancer research. I don't want to say the wrong cancer. The $2.7 million and every single dime, none of it went towards running his foundation. Every dime that they raised went towards this children's hospital. Just a good person. I'm no fan of the Seattle Seahawks. I've talked a lot of trash about the Seahawks as a team. But he's an inspiring individual. And I want to read you, this is a longish article. I want to read you this article. Maybe I'll break it up a little bit, but it just talks about who Russell Wilson is. So let's go. There are some dark days when you're sitting in a hospital with a child who has cancer. Nina Hufford knows this feeling all too well. Rourke, a then cross-country star at Maywood Middle School in Renton, Washington, was just 12 years old when his mother started noticing his eyes drifting. Nina thought Rourke had developed lazy eye and scheduled a checkup at the ophthalmologist. Ophthalmologist. Sorry. But the routine visit revealed something much more. She immediately told me that I needed to go to Seattle Children's for an MRI, Nina recalled. So we did it in the middle of the night, probably around midnight. A doctor came into the room and showed us an image of Rourke's brain. We didn't really know what we were looking at. We don't know what a brain is supposed to look like, what's supposed to be where, but he immediately pointed to a mass at the very center of Rourke's brain and told us that Rourke had a brain tumor. First, neurosurgeons would need to biopsy the most important organ in Rourke's body, his brain. The invasive surgical procedure posed several risks, but Nina had no choice but to act against the battlefield growing inside of Rourke, and she had to do so immediately. The day following the brain biopsy, Nina ran home to take a quick shower and check on Rourke's two sisters who were being watched by a friend in their neighborhood. Rourke was with his dad in the hospital room when he heard the knock. A nurse opened up my door and said, "Hey, Rourke, you have a visitor. It's Russell Wilson," Rourke said. Russell and Sierra came in. They were super nice. They said they were really inspired by me. They said I was fighting a really hard battle. They were super nice to me. It didn't take long for Seattle children's patients like Rourke to think of Wilson as more than a quarterback. He was their hero. Philanthropic gestures and selfless contributions like these are why Wilson was recently nominated for a second time in his storied career as the Seahawks Walter Payton Man of the Year. So just this is kind of broken up into little things. That is one of many stories of just what Russell Wilson does. He's there, he hears these things, and he goes and he gives these kids inspiration. And Rourke Hufford's quoted, "I wouldn't have traded that for the world." People don't understand what just some positivity can do for individuals, but Russell Wilson does. Let's keep going here. Beauty is more than skin deep. Days after Harper Floyd was born on the September 20th, 2015, doctors diagnosed her with an incredibly rare genetic condition known as Harlequin ichthyosis, HI, which occurs in just one of 500,000 newborns. The condition was undetectable in utero, and Harper was given just a 50% chance to survive, but she was a fighter. Over the next few months, Harper's mom, Angie, said the Seattle Children's staff came up with a one-of-a-kind treatment plan to assess Harper's unique condition. Fearing Harper would lose her limbs, doctors worked tirelessly to release the scales and restore circulation to her extremities. In the process, they saved her hands and feet. The day before Harper was set to be discharged from Seattle Children's, Wilson and his teammate Bobby Wagner walked into the room. Angie, whose family has had Seattle season tickets for over 30 years, was rendered speechless. That was the best goodbye present ever because they walked in and we got to meet them, Angie recalled. So she got to meet them when she was first born. Like Russell went to go hold her and she freaked out. She totally had a meltdown and spit her binky out on him. What an awesome, wonderful experience. And ever since she's been a hardcore Seahawks fan, that's a quote from Angie Foy. Today, Harper is just like any 5-year-old. She's vivacious, spunky, and wants to play football just like her older brother, Jackson. Because of her rare disorder, Angie gives Harper 2 to 3 baths a day and uses jars of Aquaphor to provide relief for her daughter's body. She says the skin regimen can be tedious, but it's well worth it for Harper. Harper doesn't look like other kids her age, but her appearance hasn't stopped her from redefining society's standards of beauty. She signed with Seattle-based modeling agency TCM Models and Talent and was recently a star of a photo shoot organized by Seattle Children's. They asked her what her favorite thing was, and she said Russell Wilson, the Seahawks, and they did it all, Angie explained. So when we arrived there, we pulled up in front. They had a red carpet out for her. They were all waiting and chanting for us down the hall. And we walked into this little dressing room with her name on it and all this Seahawks gear. It had a little tutu and her jersey, and it was the best day. She still talks about it. Actually, she still wears the tutu, and we didn't get rid of the jersey. We still have it. I can't get rid of it. I've got to keep it forever. That's just another story of Russell Wilson and bringing Bobby Wagner as one of the best players in the NFL with him. Another person that understands a star. Let's keep going here. These stories are great. A 12 for life. In the months leading up to Jackson Bulbot's leukemia diagnosis, the 7-year-old was just like any other kid. He enjoys playing hockey in the cul-de-sac, jumping on the trampoline, and watching Seahawks games with his dad, Everett, and identical twin brother, Owen. Jackson just really started getting into Hawks games and noticed the quarterback right away. Jackson quickly became Wilson's greatest fan. So when the Bulboth family found themselves traveling nearly 200 miles from Grandview, Washington to Seattle Children's Hospital in mid-November, Everett didn't know Jackson had something invisible inside of him, slowly killing him. Looking for a silver lining in what would likely be a grueling next few days for his son and family, Bulboth remembered Wilson has spent some time frequenting the hospital's invasive care and cancer units. About one of the only things I knew about Children's, other than it had a good reputation, is, that's where Russell Wilson goes every Tuesday because I've seen videos and stuff from all the past several years, Everett explained. You're just trying to find something positive in a moment because you know he's going to have a lot of hard things regardless of what's coming up. He's going to have a hard future in front of him, and giving him a little bit of something exciting can go a long way. So I told him, Russell Wilson sometimes comes in the hospital. Really? Jackson said. And he was really excited in the back. So it was one little moment in the middle of all the questions that I didn't know the answers to that he was asking. What was coming for him? to give him a little bit of excitement. Days at Seattle's Children quickly turned into months for Jackson and his family after he was diagnosed with T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia. While leukemia in kids is rare, it's the most common of kids' pediatric cancers. He had a big mass in his chest and it was pushing on his airways, Everett said. It wasn't closed, but it was pushing on it. Normally, they would put him under anesthesia and get his port in right away, start getting him into chemotherapy. But because of this mass, they couldn't do that. So they gave him steroids to shrink the mass down for a few days, and he had to get chemo straight on IV lines in his arms for a few days. It was 5 or 6 days in. It had shrunk enough that they were able to put the port in, and he's just getting over the port ever since. During the last week of Jackson's inpatient care, a day Everett remembers as one of Jackson's toughest days, Seattle Children's Child Life Specialist, Garrett Goody, arranged a virtual visit between Jackson and Seahawks idol. Wilson and Jackson quickly bonded over their loathing of COVID-19 tests during the Zoom call. He did ask him how often he had to take the COVID because he didn't like it. And of course, the players were getting them basically every day, Everett recalled. As hard as Jackson had it, Russ had it way worse when it came to that kind of stuff. They talked about football a little, but they talked about family a little bit, and more just talked about life. Wanted to talk about hard times he had gone through and how he's gotten through them. And he talked about the death of his dad and how it affected him, and holding tight to God's word and scripture and how impactful that had been. So we talked for like several minutes. He gave us like 20 minutes of his time. It was long. It was not just a quick, hi, how are you? And then off again. He was really genuine. I just really have a lot of appreciation and respect for what he does because he doesn't have to do it. And yet he does it consistently year after year after year. February 12th marks 3 months since Jackson's diagnosis. Just like anybody, Jackson has his ups and downs, but he remains resilient. He's going to kick leukemia's butt. He knows he has to have all these things going on, but it doesn't overwhelm him, Everett said. I think probably in the same way, it would overwhelm me if I were going through it, but he's really strong. He's had to go through a lot of hard things over the last 3 months. Let's see here. We got another 2 stories, and that'll wrap this up, but I'm just going to continue trudging along because I don't have much to say. Russell Wilson's actions speak for himself. And these are just a few stories out of probably ones that he does every single Tuesday, inspirations that he does every single Tuesday to kids who are, like they said, stronger than any of us out here can be because they battle and they fight for their lives. Let's keep going. This one's Blue Tuesdays. On May 11, 2012, Wilson was on a plane flying over the city of Seattle, writing down his legacy goals. Growing up, Wilson's mom was an ER nurse and his father was in and out of hospitals dealing with battle of cancer of his own. Wilson began to think about what he'd like his impact to be beyond the football field and how he could uplift others. Unfortunately, I've gotten used to hospitals, being around them, Wilson said in 2019. That's one of the toughest places to be because it's the people you care about most. And I think one of the things I wanted to be able to do in Seattle is to make an impact for kids. Just go out there and visiting them. Wilson got to meet with 4 or 5 families in his initial trip to Seattle Children's during the first week of his rookie minicamp. That's in 2012, everybody. So this has been 10 years he's been doing this. 9 years later, Wilson has met thousands of kids in his weekly trips known as Blue Tuesdays. I don't think those kids understand what they do for me. Just my soul, Wilson said. Just what they do for what God has called me to do. Just giving back and loving people. It's been the greatest gift. The families Wilson met didn't know how much he changed their lives. I want to tell them that everything happens for a reason, Andy said. Harper reminds me a lot of Russell. Obviously, they're so different, but yet they're so much alike. I want to thank him for that because I don't know that I would ever have seen it like that before meeting him. I've heard Russell say a lot, to whom much is given, much is required. And the rooms of Seattle Children's are a really sacred place, and Russ enters them with a lot of love and dignity, Nina added. He knows that he has just a few minutes to take a child out of some of the worst days in their lives and insert a key memory that they'll never forget. Last section here, Walter Payton, Man of the Year. Wilson is a driving force behind why Harper wants to one day play in Russell Wilson's flag football league in the Seattle area. He is also the reason why Work attends charity events like Wilson's annual celebrity golf tournament to help raise funds for pediatric patients who qualify for immunotherapy research trials at Seattle Children's Hospital. They, too, want to make a difference in the lives of others. And for those reasons alone, not the fact that he's NFL's winningest quarterback in 9 seasons or one of the league's highest paid quarterbacks of all time, They believe Wilson is deserving of the NFL's Walter Payton Man of the Year award. The award, which was established in 1970 and renamed for the Hall of Fame running back in 1999, recognizes excellence both on and off the field. For the second time in his illustrious career, Wilson is the Seahawks nominee for the prestigious honor. Just for a note, it went to a tackle on the Rams for this past Super Bowl Sunday. And it's, again, he's another deserving individual. The NFL will announce the winner among the 32 nominees, one of each team. Saturday night, nationally televised honors, blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that. Keep going. Wilson's friends from Seattle Children's will be in front of their televised screens cheering him on. But win or lose, the Seahawks legend has cemented his legacy in a way that will profoundly impact families like the Bobots, Huffords, Foys for years to come. Wilson is their man of the year. We love you, Everett said. We're thankful for what you do on the field, but we're especially proud of the person you are and what you do off the field for your community. That says so much more about the person than any football or baseball or other game could. Thank you for what you do. Keep it up. You're a good light in the community, and we'll be rooting for you, and we hope you win Walter Payton Man of the Year. So obviously this article was leading up to the Walter Payton Man of the Year award this year. It was written February 6, 2021, so maybe even last year. So it's an older article, but this highlights just what I was talking about. Selflessness. Like I said, that's an off day. Tuesday's an off day for a lot of these guys. And a lot of them go and they spend time with their family or do something they enjoy for themselves. Not going to blame them. Not going to blame them. But the things that John Cena does in Make-A-Wish, Russell Wilson's doing in Seattle, they're carving out a legacy. They're cleansing their souls that is so much more beautiful than anything else. And I hope that one day I'm in the position that this maybe takes off and puts me in a high position to be able to do those types of things. And, you know, I could give back one day or, you know, and I try to in any small way as well myself. And you never know what giving back really is in a day-to-day, everyone. You don't know. Smile at somebody. You know, just look at someone, and if they're just looking down and they catch eyes, give them a nice, genuine smile. You'll find that they're a little surprised and they smile back big as well. Hold the door. Just hold it open. So maybe someone hasn't had a door held open for them properly in a long time, and they've thought everyone's a fucking asshole. And there you go. You might have made somebody's day. You know, let that person in on the freeway that's trying to get in and obviously scared. Let them in. Who cares if that's an extra second that you do? Who cares if they're a crappy driver? You can go around them. Do a kind thing. Do small, kind gestures. We're not John Cena. We're not Russell Wilson. We don't have the large abilities. We can volunteer, though. You can volunteer your time. If you're a churchgoer, you can certainly do philanthropy through your church. You can work in soup kitchens. You could do a bevy of things that can help people. So ultimately, John Cena and Russell Wilson are two fantastic human beings. And his Russell Wilson's wife, Sierra, who you would know as a multi-million-dollar platinum selling recording artist, they're great people. Yes, they have vices. John Cena has vices. Russell Wilson has vices. We might find out some dark shit about them at some point. But that does not take away from what they're doing here. How many lives they've touched, how many kids they've influenced, and maybe have fought harder and maybe have passed if they never met these individuals, if they never got the inspiration that they got from them. So it's beautiful there. I think this podcast may have went longer than I wanted to, but I feel like it was important that people got to hear this type of stuff. We don't hear this. We don't hear about John Cena's 650 wishes. There's not a big media article on every wish he does. There's not a big media article every Tuesday on the families that Russell Wilson touches. And they don't want it that way either. They work in silence. They work in silence. And I know Russell Wilson posts on his Instagram about times he's going in for Blue Tuesdays. But in general, they're not in it for notoriety. They want to help people. They want to help kids. And I don't think there's anything better than that. I really don't. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. As always, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Then search for the Alex Quest the Show on social media if you want to find us anywhere. I really appreciate everyone for listening. I hope this kicked off the week the right way for everyone and that we can have a positive week here, people. All righty then. Everybody, I shall see everyone later. Talk to you tomorrow. So long.